most essential that if we are to prefer this neoliberalism, we should first look at its advantage. And here we are seeing that, as said earlier, as I clarified to you earlier, it leads to greater economic freedom, which results into greater progress for individuals. And Team Negative should note this. When we talk about individuals, in this case of neoliberalism, it will not at a later time lead to individuality, where one individual actually the one benefiting from the business he or she is setting up, but rather it results into that individual progressing also. It results into that individual creating opportunities for other individuals. I'll give you a clue on this, that in the United States, it is a country that that most of the people are employed, compared to a country like Uganda, where there are no neoliberal policies, and yet we suffer from unemployment. And another advantage that we are seeing in this case is that neoliberalism, it encourages competition, and this brings out the best of the goods and products to the public. Dear judge, when we analyze it critically, I'll give you an example of someone who is self-employed and the other who is employed by a specific organization. In the world, the people who are most successful, they are those people that who are self-employed. And this is the deal with neoliberalism. And our A3, or the advantage 3, it is that it minimizes economic problems like inflation and price hiking that are more in the economic systems that are dominated by the government.
Excuse me, let me note this. If I have to tell you that your time is done because I've given even the extra 15 seconds, I am not going to take note of any single word that you say after that. Thank you. Can we have the first negative speaker?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Okay. I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. This house prefers a world where neoliberalism is the dominant economic system. So panel, they come in and characterize their resolution, and we've got to understand what they literally mean. But where we as Team Negative or team opposition are not in agreement with what they say. Their first speaker comes here and tells us that there is job security in neoliberalism. But you do not believe this, because what you've seen, there is nothing like job security, because there is less government intervention, or there is limited government intervention in this kind of case. And they come in and also they've come in and also forgotten that there is actually, they come in and tell us that there is minimal, or there are minimal economic problems. But panel, we as Team Negative do not agree to this. We actually don't acknowledge this, because how can you tell us that there is job security yet there is limited government intervention? Because first of all, they should get to understand that in neoliberalism, these people have a right to present or to bring up their kind of economic interest they feel like they want. So which kind of job security is going to take place there when the government is not actually intervening? They tell us that there is greater economy, and where they come in and beat our minds very much is when they compare Uganda with America. These countries are very different. There is self-employment in America, because we are seeing there is a lot of development in that country. And besides, you cannot compare such a developed country with a third world class country like Uganda. That is not working at all. So we as Team Opposition come in and tell you there is actually there is a problem of market failure in neoliberalism. Neoliberalism assumes that markets will self-regulate, but in reality, markets can fail if there is minimal government intervention. I've been talking about this due to lack of regulatory oversight. How can you tell us that the market actually that there is going to, or the economy is going to be stabilized, or any kind of thing concerning the economic development, yet the government is not intervening? This is not going to work at all. We also talk about environmental concerns. Panel, we should get to understand that in neoliberalism, people are actually basically seeing profits and how they are going to develop the economy, but they forget the effects they are causing. Why do we say this? Because in neoliberalism, they're actually supporting each kind of every person's individual economic interest, whereby every person is going to come in and do anything that they feel like they want, but they forget the effects they are going to cause. Currently in the world, we are facing issues of environmental degradation. So first of all, if we basically only concentrate on the economy and forget the effects we are causing behind, this is going to be quite absurd. So neoliberalism's focus is on the economic growth and economic growth and profit maximization, but they neglect environmental considerations. And besides, critics argue that this approach can lead to over-exploitation of natural resources and contribute to environmental degradation, because basically people are doing everything they feel like they're interested in because there is no government intervention. We come in and tell you about short-term profit focus. And neoliberalism's emphasis on short-term profits may hinder long-term sustainable development. Investments in areas such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure may be neglected in favor of immediate financial gains, because these people are actually looking at getting money that quick without the government taking part. And that means that things like education, healthcare, and infrastructure are going to be neglected, because in such kinds of issues or cases, finance is not got that quick. It has to take a couple of time. So when they support neoliberalism, it actually beats our mind. What do we also see? We also see things like undermining democracy. If we get to do what? Look into things. Neoliberalism system can have a disproportionate influence, potentially undermining democratic processes. And this concentration of economic power may hinder the true representation of citizen interests. We are going to face things like undermining democracy, because people are actually going to do what they feel like they want, leaving the government aside. So, Pano, what are we going to face? We are going to face various challenges, though the team affirmative actually still stand still and say that no, we are going to have more advantages. They come and tell us encouraging competition. Yeah, you are going to encourage competition, but they're going to encourage competition. But we're also seeing currently, because they also told that they gave us an example of Uganda in their argumentation. They're going to encourage. Oh, I bet yours my case.
So much for that good speech. Let's listen from second proposition speaker.
Can I confirm that I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I will accept my POI is through the text space, so you can send the POI is there when you want to ask a question. And I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel. This house prefers a world where neoliberalism is the dominant economic system. That's resolution, what we are taking part in, dear judges. First, I shall first go back to my first speaker's statements and then go to the first negator statements. What do we tell you? We tell you that we want limited government intervention, which they say they agree to, that they say they agree to, except for 2 statements. Statement number 1 was job security. Dear judges, it has been the real world. They are telling us that in their world, they are having a life where there's job. They're saying that in our world, we have job security. We have job insecurity. And getting that. But what do we see in this world, dear judges? Let's take a clear analysis to the impact analysis. What do we see? A person who sets up a market free, he sets up a market by his own consent. I say this market is mine. This market is controlled by my own power. To what extent do I have to lose that job, dear judges? When do I have to lose that job? That's a question in mind. And people that team negative has to understand that. That means the moment I set up a market, I have to run through it. That means my job is secure. I have to maintain my job. Unless I fail to run the market, that's when I lose that job. Then in what world do we see that thing happening, dear judges? To what extent do we see that person will have job insecurity? That's what we are trying to explain. Team negative is not understanding. Second statement they said was that we have done a mistake in comparing Israel and Uganda, dear judges. So the resolution says we are preferring the one. That means we have a 100% right to go to the comparative analysis. If I bring the case studies of USA that has dominated with neoliberalism, and Uganda that has less of neoliberalism, and I see that USA is developed. That is a real way that is a real point that makes us stand to this resolution, because we are already standing in a world, we are already showing a world where neoliberalism has worked. And if it has worked for USA, it has still worked for other countries in the world, dear judges. What we come to understanding, they said, how can we compare the countries? Yet Uganda is that the country, dear judges. In the beginning, before the countries were the same, but due to poor democratic systems or economic systems, for example, that what team negative want to bring in, those are the reasons why we see Uganda still backward and USA higher. Dear judges, what makes us from team negative in this resolution? In the first case, like if team negative is rejecting the fact that they are not filing a world when liberalism is the dominant economic system, I will expect team negative to come and give us a counter model, in that they will give us what they prefer, which they don't do. For example, the first speaker does not do with their judges. That means in the right case, they have no counter model. They are saying they are just coming here to rebut, which they are doing wrong. Remember, it's a prefers motion. So that means in a world, we as Asiimwe affirmative are not saying we do not see the disadvantages of neoliberalism. It's okay. We are saying those are disadvantages, but the fact is we are preferring as the dominant. That means the disadvantages that we cannot overcome. For example, the disadvantage of the environmental concept, we shall bring in other factors like socialism to come as the second or the third that will come to overcome those problems. If people cannot avoid environmental concept, they go for socialism, which shall not be dominant. But let us agree the fact that they are dominant, which they agree to that, which they clearly agree to by saying that they are agreeing with our resolution, because in the first case they are telling us that they are agreeing with all our characterization, dear judges. If they do so and they come to negate only 2 points of job security and the point of USA and Uganda, they deserve to lose that solution. They come and tell us 1 point, that the fact that we may hinder future and long-term profits, dear judges. Let's go in the real world. In the real world, I come and set up a market with an aim that I want to accumulate profits in 10 years' time. That's a self market. That's a market that's self-employed, as my first speaker characterized it so well, on the free market with limited government intervention. My market will run for 10, 100, 200 years, accumulating profits every time, dear judges. What does that bring in mind? We are developing the economy in the real world, dear judges. The next thing panel is about, and are telling us that we are emphasizing on profit accumulation and forgetting environmental costs. What do we see in this thing, dear judges? That means that the moment we emphasize on profit accumulation, we shall first go back to the decision which says dominant economic system. That means in the real world, we should work on economic system. And my first speaker said clearly, which they agreed to, that we are aiming on what to produce and how to produce it, dear judges. If we are aiming on things like competition, as they say, just a location that we have seen that for the moment that resource allocation in markets shall be set up where resources are more. That means the resources shall be easily allocated, and high prices shall be avoided due to inflation, shall avoid all those high prices that are set up by the people inside. If the things is not realistic, because much of it is spent by the case study that we are seeing in the USA, because USA has low prices in the first case. USA has a greater economic efficiency, and much of entrepreneurship is seen through this creativity that shall be set up and innovation through our work, dear judges. And also, you cannot forget to explain about the fact that we shall produce more goods due to competition. Because when competition sets in, that's when you produce the best goods. Logical analysis, we believe all that has to happen, dear judges. That means in a world we are having all the points come to stand, dear judges. Then they come to negate the point of job security, which I clearly explained to you, dear judges, that it is wrong and is null and void. They tell us about the thing of markets can fail, dear judges. I've agreed with the fact that we have this disadvantage. But if the disadvantages are lower than the advantages, they deserve to lose that solution because we are preferring. So we agree. But that's that I think to rest my case.
Okay, thank you so much, speaker. Let me invite the next speaker to start her speech. The second negative speaker.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So in today's debate, what the affirmers should really take note of is that for us as the negators of today, we are preferring a centralized planning other than neoliberalism. In today's debate, we prefer the government aiding the economy to move on other than letting the people make the choice on their own. Reason being, they are offering to us options such as encouraging competition and all that. But why should we encourage competition, which is at times not good if it's brought in the wrong way? Yeah, we know competition aids economic growth, but if it's brought in the wrong way, it is still wrong. In today's debate, we as the negators would really like to prove to you that it is not good to encourage growth in areas that really people and their economy, so that
Excuse
the
me,
people
speaker.
remain safe, the
Excuse
environment
me.
remains safe, and everything is in its
Excuse
order.
me.
In today's debate, we'd really like to inform you that if this thing
Excuse
is
me.
really made and you're excused, yes.
Please, I'm going to ask you to start your speech again. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. In today's debate, our dear judge, we would like to prove to the affirmers that we prefer a centralized planning other than a neoliberalization system, simply because we know that the centralized planning really favors caters for the environment, the people living, and for the people too, because it really doesn't make sense people people are trying to develop themselves but neglecting the area in which they live in and regard profit making, because we don't think there is any person who will come up and be like, let me build for you a hospital or a school. Everyone will be struggling so hard to develop people herself. So in today's debate, we prefer the government aiding the economy to move on and put up ideas such as competition is automatically wrong, because we do not support competition which is not productive. We support competition which will really develop the country, but we don't support competition which is harmful. Competition such as participating in competition such as primary upright right now in Uganda, if the drinks were not being as in approved by the UNBS, what would have happened? People would have produced wrong drinks, people would have produced harmful drinks because they are not approved by the government and the people are taking full control. Some people would have even encouraged the growth of tobacco and all that, of which this is too harmful to the people. Therefore, we support the government. In today's debate, the farmers should really come to understand the importance of the government as far as economic growth is concerned and the well-being of the people. They should come to terms with the many benefits of the government. Well, they should come to learn that the people will mainly focus on economic growth and developing themselves, other than also concerning the well-being of the other people. In today's debate, we as the negators really come to inform you that the people we really come to inform you
TOI.
that the people who not granted, the people who are needy, such as the lame, the blind, and other people are not going to be considered. Only those people who can really help themselves are going to be not vulnerable, or the people who are energetic and able. It should be for each and every person. We try
Speaker,
look
excuse
at
me.
countries like
Excuse me.
Kenya. They are countries which have very rich people and very poor people. And if you're supporting your still
Excuse me.
environment or other people. We also come
Please, do you
excuse
mind if you change position from where you are to some other place? Because literally everyone is complaining that they don't get you, especially your like last minute or last 2 minutes. What I'm going to do, you were just 3 minutes into your time. I am going to give you 3 minutes for your speech. I'm adding 1 more minute. Please rewind at least what you said, like around a minute. Your last 1 or 2 points back, because we didn't get anything. And if you can change position, and we shall let you know that we can hear you very well. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yeah, if you've changed position, that is well and good. I think that's better.
Okay. What I would like to mainly put across in today's debate is that we as the negators support a centralized planning other than neoliberalism. We prefer that the government should aid the economy so as to move on, simply because of one main reason, which is the people will mainly focus on businesses or projects that are going to enable them to be financially stable, but not minding about how much it affects the environment and other vulnerable groups. And in today's debate, the farmers don't really give us an alternative. For if we don't use they don't really give us an alternative for the issue they are bringing across. We should come to also terms with that. In today's debate, we should learn that we should still support morality and socialism, of which some people need social needs, the vulnerable groups need social needs, and we still need morality. But if you give people a chance to participate in any kind of business they want and how they want, it will lead total immorality in the country, whereby people are going to practice in prostitution, of which it is not morally upright. People are going to oppress the poor because of their own benefits. People are going to destroy the environment, of which these are some of the environmental concerns that are coming right about now. Therefore, in today's debate, we want the farmers to understand the importance of the government as far as development and an improved economic system is concerned. The government plays a big role in which it has, for example, in Uganda, it has such as the UNBS that really approve of the good drinks to be taken on note. But take a look of an image in which we didn't have such arms or such organization. We would be living in a society in which everyone produces anything at his or her way, whether positive or negative, whether poisonous or not. And this would really put a risk to the lives of the people in the society. We should also come to that the
Okay, your time is out. Beth, your time is out. Please mute your microphone.
concern as you're going to get business on your okay, I
Time
raised my
is.
case.
Thank you. So, guys, I'll be so kind that if we get to hear issues with your network, we give you one first chance and then the second chance. Then you could maybe do right your wrongs in terms of network issues. So right now, let's call the final speaker on stage. And by the beacon, if the speaker says that type your POIs in the chat space, just type. Don't ask POI because they're speaking. They don't have time to type. If they ask unmute, that is when you could ask POI until they tell you, please, you can unmute again and ask. But don't start asking POI in the chat space. It kind of looks weird. Eh? So let me invite the next speaker. Thank you. Affirmative third speaker, please. Does affirmative team have a third speaker?
Yes, she's even in the room.
Maybe she could unmute and start. What's her name?
Miriam Nuwasasira.
Nuwasasira. Miriam, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours. I'm counting down 3 minutes. When the 3 minutes are done before you unmute, then we call the next speaker. Miriam Nuwasasira.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, right. We can hear you.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. This house prefers a world where neoliberalism is the dominant economic system. Panel. I want to start by clarifying clash points head to head. My first affirmer came here and talked about the advantages of neoliberalism and all the characterization. First, he talked about job security. Then the second negator came and opposed that how can there be job security yet there is no government intervention? Yes, I want to first make this clear. Yes, there can be job security when there is no government intervention, just because it's not the government there to protect someone's job. It is all about someone. When you have set up a business or you set up a market, it's all about someone's responsibility, an individual responsibility, not all about the government. Then again talked about comparing USA. The first negative also talked about comparing USA and Uganda. How can we compare the first world country and the third when Uganda is in the third country? What makes Uganda not being in the third countries? It's just because of not allowing the policy of neoliberalism. When we allow neoliberalism, when Uganda admits to allow the policies of neoliberalism, I hope it will also be in the first countries, because you have seen various advantages of neoliberalism. We have seen various advantages, as our second speaker came and told you. Also, we are not saying this is a preferred motion, so we are comparing, we are using comparative analysis. Let me give an example. If I say I prefer beans to meat, it doesn't mean I don't eat meat, doesn't mean I don't like meat, but I like meat more than I like beans more than I do it to I do it to meat. So it doesn't mean that when we say we are preferring a world where neoliberalism is the dominant economic system, it doesn't mean we are saying we are leaving the mixed system. No, we are going to adopt it, but where we shall make neoliberalism the dominant economic system. They also talked about we are seeing the advantages. We are not going to bring the long-term economic development, but we are seeing the advantages. They are more than the disadvantages of neoliberalism. They talked about the problem of exploitation of environmental resources, which will lead to environmental degradation. Yes, we agree there will be environmental degradation, but just because individuals have their responsibility of society needs, I hope they will take care of their environment when they are given authority. We are not saying we shall lack the government, we shall remove the government completely. There can be no country without the government. Yes, we shall agree with the government, we shall let the government keep, but still we shall leave there shall be no intervention. Also, my first speaker talked about there will be no hiking of prices. Yes, if all individuals are up for their society needs to plan and how to plan for their businesses, the prices will not hike. There will be more profits. Yet everyone will be producing. Some people are fearing to start up a business just because of licenses by the government, of more taxes by the government, and of what it is make more prices hike in the long run. So there will be no price hiking, which will lead which will make commodities available for that time. He also talked about high taxes. The government has set up high taxes, but for now, when we practice neoliberalism, we want to make sure when we put up neoliberalism, there will be limited government intervention. So the government will not put on high taxes to the businessmen so that they fail. Their first negator also talked about problems of failure of market. I want to inform them that when someone has set up their own market, when someone has put up their own market, I tell you, they can't allow it to fall because they will have invested much, of which they need also much from it. So they will have put all the management so that their market does not fail. They also talked about there should be the government intervention because let's take an example in Uganda where if the UNBS was not there to put to put stamp on all those drinks that are being produced. Yes, but we did say there will be no government intervention. We said there will be limited government intervention. Dear judges, they also talked about there will be decline in democracy.
Time, please.
Yes.
Time, please.
Dear judges, I rest my case. No.
Miriam, please mute your microphone. Miriam, please.
Yes.
Please mute your microphone. Okay, I had to mute her. So let's have the next speaker, please. The final speaker.
Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll begin my speech at C. A, B, C. So in today's debate, we realize that the farmers are stuck in a Cinderella fantasy. One thing that they present to us are facts that are not factual. One thing they come up and tell us is that having self-employment guarantees job security. They come up and tell us that once you have made your own business, you're not going to allow it to fall, just to quote what the third farmer said. But they actually fail to realize the true meaning of business. It does not guarantee that after you're self-employed, you're not going to allow your business to fall. Sometimes the facts that make your business fall are not things like maybe the government high taxes or anything like that, but it's your negligence, your failure to do the right thing on the job, on your own job, and it all comes back crumbling to the ground. So it does not guarantee that after you have neoliberalism, you're going to have guaranteed job security. You can still make your own business and it fails. We have seen very many in status quo. Now, they come up and also comment about the taxation. Now, I also have a question. With your neoliberalism and minimizing government intervention means that you as a trader is going to have a huge burden, which means you're also going to have to make the roads that will go to the markets you want. You'll have to deliver the goods. You'll have to actually work on the aids of trade. Now, this shows you the essence of the government intervention in the economy. Yes, you might complain about the taxation, but the taxation is something that directly comes back to the trader and helps the economy to thrive by putting up with things like the aids of trade, for example, insurance, research, transport that enable it to thrive. So without this taxation that you feel that it's a problem, you're going to actually have problematic consequences as you carry out your business, and therefore the economy is going to fail. Now, They come up and talk about competition and how it's going to help. First and foremost, they should understand what type of competition is neoliberalism. We realize that the competition in their world is a competition where people are struggling to get money by all means possible, whether they are good, whether they are bad. So if someone is making skincare products just to beat the market, she is actually going to involve in something, chemicals that are harmful to someone's skin, but as long as they do what is needed in a very short period, and therefore he has a bigger market. Therefore, you realize that the competition they are proposing is a competition which is in fact harmful to us, which is evil and which is villainous. Then they come up and they talk about hiking prices. They talk about hiking. No, let me not talk about that right now. Let me talk about our points. We talk about climate change, and they do not actually echo on it. They fail to realize that in their world, people have the audacity to do whatever they want. So people are literally going to do whatever they can to get money by any means possible. Remember, the fact is that in their world, businessmen are on the goal of attaining richness or wealth by any means possible, even though it means wrecking the environment, then costing people later. They do not care about that. They only care about getting money. So they are proposing something that is just going to destroy us at the end of the day. Now, we also tell them about the issue of disability involvement, and at the end of the day also women involvement in business. We tell them that with the government with the government having a huge part in the economy, it actually enables such people to come up on board. It actually helps them. For your own information, farmers, in case you didn't know, the government puts up measures for factories, for organizations to actually hire people like women and disabled people, and it gives them some benefits. And something like this is not going to be there if someone is in a neoliberal kind of policy. Reason being, people are not going to care. They are not going to bring a disabled person thinking that she's not going to help them have a great output. But with the government intervention, it's going to have that balanced form. So at the end of the day, you see that they are rejecting a huge section of the population. They come up and say that they are going to minimize economic problems. How are they really going to minimize economic problems? Yet at the end of the day, they are frontiering problems like climate change, which are going to have to put a huge impact, which are going to destroy a lot of businesses like those in the agriculture sector. So at the end of the day, we are stuck on a roundabout and we are making mistakes that are going to hurt us later. So we discover that they are not proposing a solution, but they are proposing a problem. We tell them that minimizing government intervention is not a solution to make our economy thrive. Some of the things they say, the farmers come up and tell us that if at all we have neoliberalism on board, we are going to become a first-class country, that we are no longer going to be the third world country. So the only thing missing in us is having neoliberalism in place, which is something that beats our common understanding. How does neoliberalism guarantee that we are going to become a first-class country? Does that mean that all countries that have neoliberalism at the same level as America? It actually beats our common understanding, because neoliberalism does not guarantee this. First and foremost, with them having several problems and loopholes that they have put in their case, that's why they lose today's debate. They come up and tell us that with your self-employment, you guarantee job creation, job security, which is a fantasy and which is not true. They come up and tell us, yes,
Time.
yes,
Time, please.
okay. I beg to rest my case.
Thank you so much, guys, for that wonderful round. I believe you guys were informed that this is a silent round, so we don't give any form of feedback, and neither do we give like your sides and whatever. So I'm going to say thank you for the round and say may the best team win.
Excuse me. What about the reply speeches?
Oh, sorry. Let's have the reply speakers. I'd actually forgotten about that. Reply speakers, you're going to pardon me for that. It had slipped my mind. Let's have the reply speakers. 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Pano, The reason as to why evil has continued to prosper is because the righteous tend to run away from the reality or the truth. So first and foremost, I would like to clarify this very well, just as my second speaker said this. We as team opposition are actually opting for a centralized planning or government intervention other than a neoliberalism, taking neoliberalism as a dominant economic system. So Team Affirmative comes here and tells us that they actually agree that there is going to be government intervention, but limited. Panu, in neoliberalism, we do what? We acknowledge free capitalism. And free capitalism is a system where the government has no control on individual decision. So when they tell us that they are agreeing to that they agree to government intervention, it beats our mind. We come in and tell them that there is no job security in your neoliberalism, but they still insist that there is job security. Pano, my second speaker came in and gave them an example of the UNBS, telling them that if it does not come in and approve the drinks that are being put on market today, we are going to have people poison others just because there is no government intervention. But what does their third speaker tell us? That the government is not supposed to protect somebody's business. It really beats our mind. They come in and complain on issues concerning taxes. Panel taxes. Let's actually reflect about this. Taxes come, when we give taxes to the government, these taxes come back and help the what? The economy, or help us. So when they do not want the government to put taxes, it really beats our mind, because as far as we know, if there is no government intervention and the taxes are not going to be raised, how are they going to have the infrastructure they need? Because the economy cannot be actually diverse if there is no infrastructure, because those are part of the things that are going to help. They come in and tell us that there is that they are going to encourage competition. Pano, just as we clarified before, the competition that is in neoliberalism is harmful, but the competition that is in actually having a centralized planning thing, or where the government is intervening, that competition is way more better. But the competition in the other way is very harmful, because people are going to bring up things that are harmful and the things that are also not harmful just because they want to compete. The panel, we do not agree to them. They still come in and tell us that if actually we accept neoliberalism in Uganda, we are going to be part of the first world-class countries. And it really beats our mind, because we've seen a lot of countries trying to work hard to be part of the first world-class countries, but neoliberalism is not the only thing that can actually take Uganda to that level. They should get to acknowledge that. Pano, we as Team Negative still insist on the issue that no, we should rather use centralized planning as a dominant economic system other than neoliberalism. We still tell them on issues concerning security, but they do not acknowledge this. Just as I said before, there is an issue of safety, social safety. I rest my case.
Yeah, thank you so much for that reply speech. Let me have the final speaker, the final reply speaker.
Can you confirm that I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I passed my timer, and okay, I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. This house prefers a world where neoliberalism is the dominant, dear judge. That's the only trick that has made Team Negative stand close to solution. The moment we say dominant, Team Negative failed to realize that. When you say dominant, we mean you want to have other systems coming, but neoliberalism dominant. But for them, they continue to debate the disadvantages of neoliberalism, which my first speaker comes and says clearly that we agree neoliberalism is disadvantageous in some way or the other, but the fact remains it's more advantageous in a way that its advantages will weigh the disadvantages, and if they do so, we shall deserve to make it dominant. But they come at us disadvantages, which include environmental consent. They come and tell us that we shall not undermine democracy, in that we shall not allow the blind, deaf, and lame. We shall not allow the women to involve, which are all fallacies. When they come tell us about hindering future and long-term profits, which we come to negate, which we come to hinder and tackle about. They come tell us about markets can fail due to failure of regulatory oversight. Those are their 4 major points as the disadvantages. But what do we tell them in the long run? We tell them that we are concentrating on limited government intervention. That makes their point of regulatory oversight null and void because the government will have limited control. So it will have to regulate them in some law. If that is the if the limited is the regulatory oversight, which makes their point null and void. They come and also the hindering future and long-term profits. What do we tell them, dear judges? The people can set up businesses, for example, the healthcare, which can run for 100 years, because we have seen, for example, the Elon Musk businesses come to stand. We have seen, for example, the hospitals that exist in Uganda, which are private. We have come schools that are private in school in Uganda, which are coming to flourish in their own grand, dear judges, which makes their point null and void. They come and tell us that people cannot stand and set up businesses which can run for many years, dear judges, which is the point which is just a fallacy, dear judges. They come and tell us that of job security, which is the major point of clash tonight's resolution. What we tell them at that point of clash? Who wins on that point of clash, dear judges? We tell them that the person can set up a business when he knows that this will run this way, dear judges. But for example, in their world, they are telling us centralized economy, which has been a point that should not be hanging point, which should not be considered, because the first speaker didn't speak of it. It came in by the second speaker, which is the hanging point. They tell us that in their world, the government shall have full control. That means the government shall choose the people to hire. Dear judges, what means in the long run? That means in the long run, the people shall be more unemployed than in our world, dear judges. We're not saying people shall not become unemployed. It shall be there, but the rate at which they are unemployed in their world is more than in a world, which means our world has more job security than in their world. That makes our world should become dominant. Another thing they tell us that that women involvement, social services, blind and deaf. What do we tell them? Tell them about making it dominant. That means in the near run, if it's the non-dominant systems such as socialism and centralized economy shall allow the blind, the deaf, and lame to have jobs. That's why they should understand it. They fail to understand, dear judges. But dear judges, their burden has made the burden of rebuttal, which they don't do. Dear judges, they expect them to rebuttal a case which they just rebutted 1 or 2, and by that they deserve to lose next solution and become the second best team. I've never been more proud than affirming this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Speaker. You had a few, like 5-6 seconds. Anyway, that's not anything big. So I want to thank you so much for that round. Maybe as of now, we can be preparing for our next round. Thank you so much for being good debaters.
Guys, I think we should leave.